The under wraps of this game, but of course, later on in the game, all eyes will be on.
How I got into gaming, I think, through my brother. We went to at our neighbor's house and we played like PlayStation 1 at our friend's house, so that's how it all started.
Highest level in the game.
I stumbled upon League through my brother as well. We shared our PC and then we had to take turns to play. And that's how I started my journey with League.
Like as well, Noti's gonna flash away. Moment's still very healthy in the true shot for us.
I started thinking about going pro probably like 2 years ago when I got my first offer at German League. Even though it didn't really work out, that got me interested, and then I just went with it. After I finished my army, I joined the UK scene, and it started from there.
He's already taken out Tydeal, is going to get healed up. Ericsson jump.
My family or my parents, they ask me about stuff, even though they don't really understand the game, but they still support me because they know that I'm good at it and I can actually make some decent money out of it. So yeah, they support me, even though they don't really understand what's going on. So.
The run that Shane's connected is the ace for it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the NLC. We're getting ready to go into our second game of the day. Now, if you looked at this without any information on what's actually going on in the league, you see a 0-7 team taking on a 5-2 team, and you go, this is an easy win. This really doesn't mean a lot. It actually means a lot for both of these teams. MNM need this win to kind of keep their relegation, their hopes of avoiding relegation alive. And Tricked, if they lose this game to MNM, first of all, that's a massive blow to your confidence, losing to the team who haven't been able to pick a win up, but also it really upsets their seeding.
Yeah, I think the huge thing here is that MNM are still fighting. They're still looking to avoid that relegation spot. They can still make it if they lose this game. It just becomes even more difficult, and they're relying on Barrage losing a game for them essentially to find that window back into things. For Tricked, again, they are, apart from Fnatic, top of this group, but they are not too far ahead. There's only 1 point separating them from the likes of Monster Rugby Gaming. Dusty isn't too far behind. They absolutely need this win, and they can't afford to be dropping a game against MNM of all teams if they want to keep their chances of being as high as possible in the seeding.
Yeah, but then on the flip side, MNM, we have talked about it a lot throughout the last couple of days, but they are not actually out. They're not actually confined to relegation. There is a chance for them to stop that in its tracks. It starts with this game. They have to win this game at the very least. It's versus a tough opposition, but they have been showing improvement. M&M have been getting better and better week in, week out. There's been roster shuffles galore. They actually have a mid laner this time round, a mid laner with a lot of experience. Monk's back in his more comfortable role. If this is the version of the M&M roster that's going to be picking up a win, it will be this version of the roster.
And I honestly agree with what Scoundrel is coming out with here. With the roster swaps coming in, MNM haven't been looking better than they actually do now with, as you said, a real mid laner. But to me, even if it goes to that point where we finally see that they can play together as a team, I think that Trick right now just seem better, not only as a team, but individually too. We have been talking about them as a triple threat team over on the side of them. I think Akan has been seeing some weakness. I think that on the other hand, Waysor is just looking great. The same can be said for the bot lane down on Trick's side too, if they can play for them. And then Aaron too. I think just in general, this team is just so good individually.
And I think that's my interesting matchup. You just mentioned Aaron at the end, but Aaron against Energy, I feel like Energy has been a big revival for MNM, even though they still haven't got that win. Having a honest mid laner who's got wealth of experience has been huge, because for a time they had Monk, who'd only recently stopped to the role. Wasn't very successful, and then they had Kakan sub in for a bit, but Energy, he's been massive for them. But the problem is he's up against Aaron, and Aaron has shown tons of versatility for the side of Tricked. He's shown that he's willing to play more aggressive early focus styles. He's able to play that scaling game, confident on a range of champions. And I feel like even though you've now got your mid laner for M&M, I'm not sure that Energy is necessarily going to be able to match up to Aaron, because not so much in the laning phase, where I think that Energy should be able to do okay, but it's what Aaron could decide to do to impact the map. He doesn't have to meet you head on in lane. He can look to roam and apply pressure down to the rest of the map, and that's where we could see M&M crumble, because the lane with Monk has tended to be the weak point. Even after switching back to AD carry, they've still struggled to find a way to get into the game and not fall behind.
But honestly, I think to me, if we're going to see a positive point for MNM today, it's going to be aesthetic. I actually think that now when you finally mention it, they have a real mid laner, Energy, who can actually gain pressure instead of a mid laner that's going 0-10. You actually have something to play for now, specifically with Monk down in the bot lane too, who's hungry for resources and can gain pressure by himself. I actually think if there's a role where aesthetic can fill in the gap, this could be his role in this team to finally take action into his own hand and try and get a win for his team.
Gonna be honest though, Gulborg, I feel like we've said that maybe 4 or 5 weeks in a row now. I feel
yeah,
like
but this is a new team. Last time
no,
it wasn't the same team.
I understand, but it's not like this is the first time that we're going to see this iteration of the roster, right? I think we have seen them in action a little bit before, but nonetheless, we've said that a lot about aesthetic. But I agree with you. I'm not saying I disagree with you, but I want to see it come true, and this is the time to do it.
It's a tall ask. Tricked have been performing. They are the second in this group, and MNM been plagued by rough games for the entirety of the split. I'm excited to see this Energy versus Eren matchup. This is where my attention's going to be, but we're going to get ready to go into Champs Deck. Before that, we have a quick break. We'll be back in a moment. See you in a sec.
How much I could feel till I met you. It's like I'm seeing.
And we're into Champ Select for our second game of the day. MNM versus Tricked. Instantly going to see the Twisted Fate taken away. No global pressure, at least for the moment, for Aaron.
And I think that's good because one of my concerns isn't so much the 1v1 matchup in the mid lane. It's more what Aaron can do to the side lanes. And particularly, I'm looking at bot lane for MNM. We've seen the potential of Monk when he was playing AD carry role in the past, and I think we need him to return to that state. But if he's having a TF flying down, if he's having a Gangplank offering that ult towards him, that's where the problem can sort of occur. When it's not a straight 2v2, it's not even a 3v2, it turns into a 5v2, and that's when it can be really rough.
Well, I might even be worried for the laning phase too, because there's still an Azir that you might need to be worried about. But there's also a lot of priority picks that are still gone open at Cockball, man. Okay, that's interesting. That might be because they think that they're playing that into Azir as a counter there. But I think that's
that Monk's pocket pick.
Oh, yeah, true. I forgot all about Monk. I don't know why. Maybe it's because the impact he's been making has been negative lately, but let's see how he does here. But Ashe still up and available. Syndra still available. Azir still available. All of these priority picks we've been talking about still available. Carter's still available.
Actually, they're going to ban the Carther straight off at the end here. But like you said, things like the Syndra, which we haven't seen a lot of actually, even in the NLC when it's available, isn't picked highly. Karma has been a huge priority pick on blue side first if you get the opportunity to take it. So very interesting. MNM going to go for that straight up. Again, has that flexibility to go top, mid, or support, which just, again, keeping the draft open. We more often than not see it in the bot lane, but again, as we've seen in previous games, our last game just gone, we can see it flex to other lanes.
Oh, and instantly Trick picking up a huge range advantage with their backline carries. Essentially, it means that if you're trying to dive onto them, you have to do the job very effectively because the likes of Nazir and Ezreal are good at disengaging. And if your composition is short range, then you will just inherently struggle to deal with them in team fights. So a lot of power picked up there and very sort of on theme for Tricked. Aaron with his signature champion and the Ezreal for a Chew, but could see this coming in. And a Kai'Sa, this is something we've seen popping up occasionally as a specific counter to Ezreal. Your poke's actually longer range with your Void Seeker, and you can dive on top of him and beat him in a 1v1 and obviously force that fight that often not many champions can.
And if you're talking backline front, like forcing here, you might get it with Kai'Sa too and her ultimate. The question is now you actually need something that could dive onto the backline too. So things like Malphite still one of the picks that we've been seeing recently. But I also think after we've been seeing these two champions come out from Trick, it's quite clear what they want from their composition. They have two backline damage dealers, and all they really need right now is just a decent front line to play this composition out.
Yeah, actually, looking like they're prioritizing very, very comfortable picks, especially for Energy. This is something that he's played a lot throughout his career. And again, just doesn't want to go through the second ban phase and lose something in the mid lane. Corki is one of those mid lane picks that in this current meta doesn't have a huge amount of bad matchups. So it's just really good for Corki to just say, okay, fine, it's a good blind mid. And things like the Orianna work well as well. But for Energy, Corki is kind of one of his best. And I think for MNM, this is the game to bring out your best, and I think I'm glad to see Energy going with it.
Yeah, we will see the Azir able to shove out the lane in the early levels, so potentially a bit more pressure there, which ties well into having a Lee Sin. But what I want to see Energy doing is getting that package for the dragon and just chaining to get together your package when other dragons available and using it for those team fights. And realistically, I feel like MNM have got some huge scaling options already picked up. They just need to round out their composition, and there's still things like Set available, which provides a sort of frontline engage, potentially some interruption as well, and obviously works as a flex. I feel like MNM still have quite a few options in this situation.
And I'm also just looking for the engage to come with it. We've seen that Rakan risen in popularity recently with the Ezreal. There's loads of roaming possibilities. Nautilus still up and available if you want that kind of front line from the side of Trick. I'm thinking right here that they're looking for a support pick so they can actually hover for the Karma flex and then counter pick for top lane, which is the lane that they need right now together with the support pick, depending on what kind of the priorities they actually have here.
It looks like for now, one more ban coming in for MNM. Bit of attention's been thrown down in the support role, and MNM, curious to see what their final ban is. What do they not want to deal with?
I think the power is the fact that you have that support flex of the Karma. So the Leona comes out, but you could still just put the Karma in the bot lane. I think Nautilus makes sense to me, but they're actually going to go for the Malphite instead, concerned about something that can be a threat to this backline of MNM. And now we get the priority on this pick for Tricked. It's difficult because you'd like to say take the support here and leave top lane for counter pick, but ultimately in this situation, you don't know where the Karma's going. So I think but they're just gonna go for the support here and just think Ezreal Nautilus is strong enough in most situations, and there aren't really too many other picks that MNM could necessarily take to cause problems for them. It also means if we do see that Kai'Sa diving onto the Ezreal, you have a point-and-click CC with the Riptide to kind of deal with it.
I think with MNM's composition, though, it kind of leads us away from Aesthetic being a carry or being someone that kind of drives the team forward in terms of his own solo performance. I feel like this is one of those comps where you're looking to more facilitate and support rather than be a primary driver, because you've got the Kai'Sa, you've got the oh my word, it's a Bard. That's a Bard support, and we're going to see a Karma flexing, as we said it was, obviously said it was possible. Let's go into the top lane for Kakan. We now just wait to see the jungle pick here for. I feel like you're going to need some kind of front line though, otherwise you're looking like a very squishy composition. You need something that's going to be able to help Kai'Sa set up well and also protect Kai'Sa as much as possible. So yeah, this is I think Set makes sense. Set would be a good choice. He's innately quite tanky, and he's got great engage as well, which is really good for setting Kai'Sa up.
Imagine if they swap this to see up to the top lane and they just lock in a set against the Corki too. That would just be ludicrous from Tricked Esports. I actually like that they choose to fourth pick this Nautilus here, not only because you need a front line, but because it's actually a great takeaway when they could be flexing Karma top and get a Nautilus Kai'Sa lane on the side of MNM Gaming. So I like where they took that. And they're going with some quite heavy bruiser composition here. It's not because it's the strongest frontline. Nautilus pretty much just need that Gargoyle Stone Plate before he's really a tank that you can force around. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're just looking to be a 1-3-1 team instead.
Yeah, I think I can understand them having some concerns about the team fighting potential up against this composition. You have a lot of backline damage coming out from MNM. You have this sort of support coming out from the Karma and the Bard to set you up. And I think that's why Tricked went, right, we might need an alternative win condition, and the Camille provides that. It's similar to the Gnar we saw last game, where although it will be a bit weaker at handling the Karma in lane, but it will scale incredibly well into the side lane. And what we often see is later on, Karmas start forfeiting farm. They'll hand it over to the other members of their team, and it just means that Wazor can get further and further ahead. So if we do see a situation where Kai'Sa Corki too strong, we could see Wazor win in the side lane as a result.
For me, my attention is going to go towards the spot lane. Obviously, we highlighted the mid matchup. Energy versus Aaron is going to be an exciting one, but I feel like the Corki Azir, it'll be fairly uninteractive. This Kai'Sa, it's been a while since we probably started seeing the Kai'Sa get picked up in. Monk, it suits his playstyle. Jump in, either clean up or die. So it's going to be, I reckon this bot lane might be quite explosive, actually. I think we might see some attention go down there. But let's pass it over to our casters to get into this game. Medic and Trouble, over to you.
Thank you very much, Hitbrain. Very much looking forward to this game. Really big for Tricked in their fight for second place in the playoffs. Of course, MNM not mathematically in relegation yet. They could still fall fortunate to Barrage losing a few games and then winning a few games, but they have to really start picking up some wins soon. Otherwise, they're 1 or 2 games away from being eliminated.
And in all honesty, I'm scared. I had some expectations, with Eliwood and Energy coming in. I'm like, wow, a real mid laner. How is Aesthetic going to play the game with somebody who gives him, the room to be? And somehow we've seen the roles swap around. Aesthetic takes the backseat now. He's like, right, it's your turn to shine, Monk. He's on the Kai'Sa. He's on the backline threat. At least this time, if he goes down 0-10, Medic, he's going to go down like the hero.
Look, I've heard Monk will carry. I've yet to see it in a game of League of Legends, but perhaps this is his chance. Perhaps
maybe you're lucky.
This is his opportunity. Yeah, maybe I am. I do want to quickly touch on the Karma pick. We saw it pick first, and I just entirely disagree with this Karma flex that's going around. I've yet to see it work, especially in the NLC. I looked up some stats. It's won once out of 2 games in the top lane, and that's because Pride was playing it for Fnatic. And the rest of the time, it's 7-14. Like, this thing loses 2 times out of 3. I don't understand why people are putting so much priority onto it when there are good picks that you could run alongside this composition. Give me an Ornn, right? That gives you a stronger front line. Your back line is a little bit more protected, and it makes it so much easier to play a comp. A Karma is just an Ornn, but more difficult to play, in my opinion.
Honestly, I 100% agree with the Ornn pick right here, because your composition from MNM is diving into the backline, right? The Bard catching someone on the backline, then you have your Kai'Sa and your Corki flying in at the same time together with Zed. What's your Karma gonna do? How is the Karma gonna go through the entirety of Tricked to get to the backline and give you the Ardent Sensor shields, give you the Unholy Grail shields, heal you up, give you life? It's gonna be 1E at the start of the fight, and that's it, because everyone's going to jump at the back line, and you cannot follow up. So I completely agree with that. Plus, I like how Weija did not hold back. They know they can shut Kakan down, and they know they can do it with that Camille. I love the point that Ox also made on the desk, because Kakan is going to start full fating a lot of farm on the side lane, and he's also going to be starting to build a little bit of that support itemization. Weija is just going to skyrocket ahead in strength. So who's going to be able to stop him?
It's going to be so difficult. Like, if he's ever in a position where he can just win that 1v1, which he will be eventually, because Camille definitely outscales a Karma. The only question is whether Energy can get to a position where he can deal with the Camille. Because maybe he could be the one put into that 1v1 as the game goes on. Did see Aesthetic start on his red all by himself. This means that Monk and Eliwood will have the priority in the bottom lane, because Achu and PlayStation decided that Soph couldn't do his blue buff all by himself. It means that Achu and PlayStation just need to be a little bit more passive early on, but it's fine. You're in Ezreal, you can Mystic Shot. Assuming you don't overstep for the level 2, you're in a grand position just to farm this up as it pushes towards your turret. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Kakan hits level 2 first, as expected in a range versus melee matchup, and Vasil's just going to give him the time of day, give him a bit of space, and catch the wave as it pushes to his tower.
Yeah, you sort of want to play towards the top side if you're Aesthetic, because Kakan is also pushing underneath Weiza's tower, so you definitely don't want to be getting caught there. And Soph is playing the Lee Sin together with Weiza's Camille. They do have more than enough damage to take Kakan down, so you have to make sure that he stays up and alive as much as possible. I would highly see a contestation over the top Scuttlecraft at this point, because both the junglers have the same idea. Keep top lane safe.
So Aesthetic has the vision advantage here. He knows that Soph is in the river. Soph is now going to step into him. Aesthetic will get a good trade-off with the knuckle down. Has the Haymaker as well. First going to use the Phase Breaker, looking for that shield. Soph trying to jump away. The final auto attack isn't quite enough. Just about able to get away with the flash. His Eliwood roaming on that Bard, something Bards are very good at doing, but can't quite land the binding. It wouldn't have stunned up in any way. Energy did burn his flash as well, trying to kill Soph. So flash for flash there, mid lane for jungle.
Wow, that was so lucky for Soph to be able to get away from something like this. But at the end of the day, sure, you burn your flash onto the Corki, but mission accomplished, right? Your mission was to keep your Karma safe, perma pushing in the top lane. You managed to get the Scuttlecraft, you managed to push Soph away. So now you're playing it slow and methodical. Allow these leads to give you space in the jungle to make the plays if you're Aesthetic. We've been looking to see him unlocked. I feel like this composition does unlock him onto the map.
What I did like from Tricked after that play was Soph immediately passed down towards bottom scuttle. PlayStation had stepped up into the river to try and make sure it was safe. And you could see Aesthetic trying to get over there in time to steal it away from Soph and get a double scuttle advantage, but he wasn't able to. So Tricked are able to get that one out. Here comes the first play of the game as the teleport comes down towards the bottom lane. Achu's going to flash away, brought back with the Face Breaker, and that is a very dead Ezreal. PlayStation next on the menu. And he's going to get caught underneath his tower, but they can't quite get the damage down. Aesthetic was ignited. Energy took a tower shot, but MNM will get away with their first kill.
What do they lose, though? Because that play was not a play for a dragon, was not a play for priority, was a plain brute force kind of play. And you see Weiser is pushing top lane, Aaron is pushing mid lane, and that's what they want. They want dominance in the solo lanes. Right now, they're getting it. Kakan is going to lose cannon right here. They're losing so much experience and so much gold. And both Azir and Camille are more than happy to sacrifice their Ezreal, who's going to very slowly go into the late game with that Mana Moon and just allow themselves to get there. 10 CS ahead for Aaron, 16 CS ahead for Weiser. I think it was worth it for Achu to die there.
Yeah, I agree. I think perhaps an overinvestment from MNM, but burning both the teleports to try and get there.
Monk has no flash.
Has no flash, but PlayStation obviously hasn't got the Nautilus Q... what's it called? Aimbot. That's the one. Hasn't got his aimbot on just quite yet. Wasn't quite able to connect with that one. And we did see, I think, 2 cannons and about 8 minions die to turret off that play from an MNM. So Tricked are still pretty even in gold, you know, about 100 gold behind. They're going to get the first dragon of the game. And Eliwood continuously trying to roam around, trying to find plays with Aesthetic, who does have a level advantage here. Magical Journey used, but Aesthetic unable to get there in time, so the dragon will fall. Tricked to secure it. And I think the next few minutes are going to be really telling for this game. If Eren and Vezor are able to use this advantage that they've garnered, then it could be very difficult for MNM to scale up the way they want to.
So here's the thing, right? I've always been very, very vocal, and I'm loving that you mentioned Eren here, because I've been very vocal about Corki itemization. Back when you were playing against a very heavy AP mid laner, such as the Azir right now, maybe something like a LeBlanc or a Syndra, you would go Hex Drinker. Right now, you're going into a more, there you go, you're going into a more passive build, which is the Tia into the Mana Moon. Oh. I'm gonna have to hold on.
You can see that pressure in the mid lane just translates here. Aesthetic's gonna get hooked up, but you can jump across this wall, and Eren's gonna be in a great position to shuffle in. Here comes the Emperor, only knocks back 1, but that Kai'Sa is a juicy dish for a chew. Tricks get their first kill of the game, all made because of those double TPs from MNM.
Yeah, and again, energy on the Corki does not have the power to keep Eren in lane. That Azir is going to have perma priority in the mid lane. He's going to be able to do damage earlier than the Corki. He's going to be able to get priority earlier than the Corki. And until that Corki has the mana available to him...
Kakan might be dead. He's got no mana. He's going to pop the W. Hextech Ultimatum could have been used there by Visor to try and dodge that second proc. I thought Kakan may have paid for a little overstep with his life, but he's able to survive, and Visor's going to look to TP back into this lane.
You know what? They're never going to let me finish my Corki point, so
too many fights.
Corki weak at this point, Eren much stronger onto the Azir, full stop. That's what you're getting.
I agree. It's one of those, do you go Hex Drinker early on, you know, on the Corki, just to try and mitigate some of the damage coming out from Eren. Eren, yet to take his second recall, has double Dorans and a Fairy Charm right now for that little bit of extra mana regeneration in the lane, but I expect pretty soon he'll be backing. He probably has, I'm going to say, about a 700 gold lead right now on this Azir. Because of the plate, because of the extra minions he's got. Okay, 500. I was 200 out. I was 200 out. I'll take that. 520? It's getting bigger as the moments go by. Eren now with the blue buff as well makes it so hard for energy to do anything in this lane. The lanes have swapped. Kakan is up here on the top side. Hex Flash across. PlayStation might be a little bit caught out. Does have the hook, but can't get away. And a good Cosmic Binding from Eliwood will lock PlayStation in place. Aesthetic takes his first kill of the game. True Shot Barrage, well followed, but doesn't really do too much here as MNM are going to set up for this Rift Herald.
Great proactive play right here from MNM. They're the first ones to walk into the river. They're the first ones to control the river. They had vision over PlayStation, and I'm loving the ballsy flash from Aesthetic. He dives in, and the second the anchor goes out, he grabs PlayStation back and punishes him for face-checking something that does not belong to him. This is how they need to start building their leads. They need to start feeding some gold into their Kai'Sa or their Corki to try and get them a little bit healthier out of lane, a little bit more ahead. So yes, I would expect this Rift Herald to either go mid lane and feed energy or go straight towards Monk.
And the question is, do you try and catch up the person who's behind, or do you try and accelerate the lead on someone, right? Because this Kai'Sa, it's about even with the Ezreal right now, but we've already seen there's a disadvantage for energy in the mid lane. So do you try and get him up towards the Manamune quicker? Do you try and get him up towards his Trinity Force quicker? Or do you accept that he's going to be a little bit behind the entire game and you can get Monk into a position of relative power versus his opposite number? So we'll see what... Oh, sorry.
That was a very intriguing question to me, because I feel like if you get Monk ahead to the point where he wants to fight, but your Corki is not ready itemization-wise, it creates a little bit of an imbalance, right? Because your Kai'Sa wants to dive the backline, but energy cannot, because he will just have a mana moon while your Kai'Sa has 2 items possibly. So I would feed it into the Corki to try and get him at an even level, because these are going to be the 2 carries that will dive together the backline. So you want them to be equally matched at this point, I would say.
Yeah, I understand that logic. We'll see if that's what MNM do. They've yet to use that Rift Herald. 45 seconds on the next dragon, and you'd expect MNM to want to set up around it. You can see they've already swapped once again. They're 80 carrying their support down towards the bottom side. Visor has his TP. Kakan should be up, I believe, by the time the dragon is up. So we could see an all-out brawl in the bottom side of the map. Totally vision control at the moment for Tricks down there, though. With Eliwood and Monk pushing up this wave, I expect them to step into this river and try and clear out some of those control wards.
Thing is, my eyes go straight to R2, and he doesn't have teleport available. So if this fight breaks out, he will not be able to join, while Kakan will.
You can see Trickster looking for something here. PlayStation coming in from behind. He's going to get spotted on the control ward now. Visor and Soph are on their way as well. Monk already locked into the baby cage. The Hexagon comes down here. The double TPs. Monk able to survive with a killer instinct, and Visor's already dead. PlayStation able to get in onto Monk. Soph chased out here, kicks away the Corki. Doesn't want any piece of that action, but Aaron's going to fall as well. And it looks like that was just a little bit too greedy from Trick. They didn't expect the double TPs. A Chew wasn't there, and MNM are going to take the Dragon.
But you should. If you're a team that's chasing Fnatic, you're right behind them and you want to beat them, this is everything you need to be keeping in mind. We just mentioned R2 doesn't have his TP. So does a fight break out, MNM will have numbers advantage. That was indeed the case. Estetica shot up in the lead with 3 kills right here. And it's looking very likely that MNM could pull an upset right here. And the team that's chasing, clearly the strongest team, not just in the groups, but in the league, could fall to the guys chasing relegation.
It would be one of the biggest upsets we have seen in a while here in the NLC, but there's still a long way to go. It looks like the Rift Herald is actually going to be used down here in the bottom lane. Not sure if that was expiring, because it feels a little bit greedy from MNM to go for it. Visor's going to jump back onto Aesthetic, and PlayStation has a flank position here. No one else to save MNM this time. The TPs aren't available. Aesthetic caught out by Soph. Visor with a tactical sweep. Can't quite get the slow. There's the depth charge. Eliwood on his way. Didn't have the Temper Fate, so couldn't do too much about it. But here comes the trade back. Stun onto Visor. Kakan and Eliwood able to take a second kill. And now Soph and PlayStation are running for their lives. I need to eat my words about this Karma because it's doing so well for MNM right now. 0-0-4. They get a kill in what was essentially a 3v2. And they have about a 700 to 800 gold lead right now. MNM really looking strong.
Even though the Karma seems to be working out, as in she has not died yet to anyone, and sure they have managed to keep her even with Wazer's Camille so far, I completely disagree with feeding all this money into your Karma when you have 2 very gold-hungry carries. Oh,
guys, you don't have to fight bot lane all the flipping game. Hextech Ultimatum is going to catch out Kakan, but a good Temper Fate will lock down Visor. Soph able to jump through it with the Resonating Strike. And Trick able to get a kill for their own. We saw the gold there a little moment ago. Still a 600 lead for Eren also, but I believe it was about 400 or so for Aesthetic now because Soph was able to get that kill in the bottom lane. So pretty even across the board. Only real discrepancies are the jungle and the mid.
Okay, I'm scared. They're pulling TPs down for kills from the side of Tricked. No real objectives in sight, nothing. It was just simply to kill Kakan. Kakan doesn't care if he dies. He was never and he will never be the carry. He's just there for the shields, and Tricked need to actually accept that. Monk might be in trouble though.
He has got Flash, going to jump in with the killer instinct, trying to kill a Chew straight away, but a Chew now has the True Shot barrage, and Monk, just dodges to the side of it. That was
Monk
very well played from Monk. Didn't burn a single summoner, forced them both underneath their tower. That was very well played by Monk.
Is this the Monk we were promised since week 1?
Who knows? Who knows? He's gone mid lane. He's taken a sojourn. He's taken a little vacation. Now he's back. And he's, I'm not going to say he's having a great game because he's 1-2-1 right now, but that was a good play.
That shows confidence in the role he's playing, because he's been trying to pull these plays in the mid lane and it just never seemed to work for him. And now he's just looking like he's home. He's looking so much more confident to pull these plays. You said it was a 2v1 and didn't even blow a summoner. Not only did he not even blow a summoner, he forced both of them back. He almost killed them. So this is prime Monk, ladies and gentlemen. We were getting what we were promised. Sit tight, fasten your seatbelt, because I think we might see NLC history right here today. MNM are looking really good.
They set up their vision control around this top side as well, knowing that the Rift Hold is up. Monk's going to try and push out this wave, and you can see the reset coming in from Energy means that this aggression from MNM is likely to be stymied just for the time being. PlayStation trying to get control of the river for his team as Visor's working his way up. Kakan, no TP. He's on his way through that red buff as well.
Round 2?
Monk once again. I mean, Monk has everything. PlayStation misses the hook and Aesthetics coming in. This is bad. This is bad for the Nautilus. Tempered Fate keeps PlayStation in the right place at the right time, and there's the kill from Monk. Goodbye, Nautilus. He is a dunzo, and now this should be a free Rift Herald for MNM.
PlayStation is really fixated on killing Monk, and then he pays because they had absolutely no vision on the top side River, and now they're also giving away a free Rift Herald because they have numbers advantage. Wazer is desperately trying to kill Kakan all this time, and it's just not happening.
Vasil's in a really good position now with the Ravenous Hydra complete. He should be able to trade onto Kakan pretty effectively. The issue is always going to be Kakan can just use an empowered W, like an ulted W, and then heal up a ton, right? And so you have to be able to get through that and get manage to lock him down. And when he's under his tower, he's obviously very safe. What I do like from MNM here is they're constantly moving the points of pressure on the map, right? We see Monk and Eliwood moving up towards the top lane to contest the first Rift Herald. Then they reset to bot, then they reset to top, then they reset to bot. And it makes it really hard for Visor to ever have a pure 1v1 lane. Like, he can never really dominate the Karma because he's never able to stay in a lane with the Karma for long enough.
Honestly, I think MNM here are one step ahead. Now, I don't know how safe Energy is right there.
It splashes away. Has used the package, has used the Valkyrie, so he is able to escape. And once again, it's an objective fight that we see. Visor spotted out in the bottom side of the map. He's going to clear out this wave as quickly as he can, and there might be a fight going on the top side of the river. MNM have total control of it. You can see only that control ward in there for Trick. Energy takes a little bit of a chunk from the True Shot Barrage, but you're walking into darkness. Tempered Fate doesn't connect. Kakan's going to try and get the root here onto Evan, and it will connect in the end. Aesthetic with a Hex Splash across the wall, but the Emperor's Divide will stop him in his tracks for the moment. Exhaust on Erin. They're going to bring him back with a Face Breaker, but Visor has a good flank position, and Monk might be dead before he can even get his Killer Instinct off. He actually already used the Killer Instinct. He goes down with the Showstopper off towards the top side from Aesthetic's going to do a lot of work. It's all on Achu and Visor here. They have to try and trade back. Kakan body blocked by Aesthetic. Achu now jumping forward for Eliwood. Will take one. Visor needs to rejoin the action if Achu's going to survive, but Aesthetic is doing so much work on this set. Visor tries to jump past his AD carry onto Kakan. Can't find the connection. Kakan flashes away. And now Visor's in a 2v1. PlayStation's on his way. And all that Visor will want to do is stop this dragon from being taken.
What a chaotic fight by both of these teams. They were both lost in what targets they wanted to kill. Ultimately, though, because MNM again is the one who has more members in the river first, they're going to be able to secure the second dragon of the game. Are they going to be able to get out?
Aesthetic has Hex Splash, so he's going to jump off towards the back side of the pit. Kakan, with the tether, is able to force Visor away. And that was just a different investment of resources, right? Like, Trick didn't teleport Azir in as soon as they could have. They didn't decide to go for the fight early on. Maybe they didn't even think the dragon was going down because Energy TP'd in very quickly and then helped MNM secure their second dragon of the game. They have a 1,700 gold lead. They have a 2-item Kai'Sa now. And Corki's on his way to a Trinity Force as well. So MNM in a very strong position with this double AD carry scaling composition.
And you know what? We've always been seeing constant action MNM, but it's always been MNM dying. Every single minute of the game, they would be losing a member. Now they're having action every single minute the correct way. They're moving around their bot lane wherever they want to contest on the map. They have the farm even with their opponents. They're playing the map correctly. The rotations, the macro, they're looking very clean. You showed me this MNM at the start of the split, and I would say they look like a true contender for playoffs, and if not for playoffs, for even top spot. They're challenging one of the top teams in the league right now.
Not quite done yet, but I think there's some MNM faithful.
I'm sold, Medic.
There's some MNM faithful that are starting to get their hopes up just a little bit here. Maybe it's their first win of the tournament on the cards. Trick have total control of this bottom side of the map. MNM don't really care. They're playing topside. They're leaving that Karma just behind the turret, making sure that she can be safe. They pop the Rift Herald down in mid. That's going to get a charge off before Chu can clear it. And chunks out the turret quite a lot. Second Rift Herald is always a little bit of a disappointment. You tend not to be able to take a full tower with it most of the time because the enemy team is just able to react pretty quickly. Lanes are usually a lot more open, so you're not like dictated that your bot lane should be in the bot lane or your top lane should be in the top lane. People can roam around a little bit more, so it becomes a little bit more tricky. So we see Aesthetic trying to clear out some of this vision. There's still a couple of wards here for Trick. They continue to try and catch out Corki, who is a little bit of a tricky target to match. Aesthetic is getting pinged, but like, what are you going to do? He's got a dead man's plate. He's 5-1-3. He's got a completed Cinderhulk. Like, your serrated Dirk is going to do nothing to that stuff. I'm really sorry, but right now your lethality is very much less than lethal. It's not going to do any work at all.
That mid lane tower that went down is going to be very detrimental for the game from now on, because that means that the vision is going to be going further and further into Aesthetic's jungle here. That gives a lot more freedom from Wazer to play the side lane. This is where the true test happens for MNM. Kakan is going to have to find his priorities. Do I fight with my team? Do I TP, or do I try to stop the Camille? At this point, he's at a very good spot because he has a Seeker's Armlet as well. I don't see him going down anytime soon to Wazer, up to the point where Trinity Force is completed. This is where the bells start ringing for the side lane, and we might see a swap with Energy and Kakan. So far, so good though. All they need to do is just keep on farming, get that Trinity Force onto your Corki, and he should be having it soon enough. If not at the next Dragon fight, maybe at Soul Point.
Right, he's got it right now. So he's definitely going to have it.
There you go.
The next Dragon fight, 2 minutes or a minute and a half on that. As we say, it will put them on Soul Point, and a Soul Ocean with a composition like this, the sustain you would get, it'd be absolutely absurd. Trick will need to try and fight over one of them. Could wait, of course, until the 5th Dragon of the game. You can see gold once again shifting in Trick's favor across the course of the last few minutes. They have about a 200 gold lead, nothing substantial, but enough for the time being. I will note, Erin went for this Seraph's Embrace into Nash's Tooth build. Not something we too commonly see. A little bit of extra mana is always nice on the Azir, but usually you see the Nash's Tooth first, and then you go into more like utility as the game goes on. So I'll see how effective that shield is. I'm not going to give my true opinions on it as of yet.
Honestly, in this specific matchup, I do like it because he's trying to match the scaling of the Corki. He knows that the Kai'Sa's and Corki's target is going to be Eren. Oh.
And this goes down. Depth charge used by PlayStation just to disengage the fight, but Achu did have to flash. Eren is in a good flank position here. I'm not sure if he's been spotted out.
What's Wazer? It's coming from the side.
However, Trick, they do a good thing. They do not fight over a tower that was going to die anyway. And that's a really important skill to learn, because a lot of teams, even in the LEC and like the LCS and like higher level, they just always fight over these things. You don't need to do that, but they're going to fight over this dragon going in. The Killer Instinct. Vizor's dead. He thought he'd caught out Kakan, but it was he who was caught. The ambulance was called for Vizor, and now PlayStation on the front line trying to hook himself away, hits a minion instead, still able to survive for the moment, but now it's a 5v4 at the Dragon in favor of MNM. And this is going to put them at Soul Point. Maybe they're going to threaten the Baron. Maybe they're just going to clear out vision. But MNM do this so quickly with the Ginsu's Mura mana complete with a double AD carry. Tricks will not have time to start up this Baron.
You see, they're so extremely confused right now. They're like, we can try to threaten, but these guys are already done with the Dragon. MNM are moving so quickly and effectively around the map. At this point, Monk is playing Nocturne. He's not playing Kai'Sa. He's in assassin mode. And this is where we go back to the Seraphs onto Eren. Eren didn't build that to match the scaling. He built that because he's scared for his life. With both Monk Aesthetic and Energy diving the backline to kill him, he will need that shield, and we need to see how effective it will be compared to something like the Ludens Echo that would have given him a little bit more burst.
He's gone the stopwatch as well just to get that extra degree of safety. Trinity Force almost complete for Vizor. You've got 2 items complete on Achu as well, going for Blade of the Ruin King next, but Monk is a full half item ahead, has that Phantom Dancer finished up, so never mind the shield from Killer Instinct. He's also going to have a shield whenever you try and burst him out. It's going to be very difficult to kill this
And the shield from Karma as well.
Yeah, exactly. And the Ardent Sense. Oh, it's going to be very difficult to kill either of these AD carries. Karma has been played exceptionally well so far this game. Vizor trying to trade in the bottom lane, but once again, Monk is here, and Vizor goes bye-bye. Just not respecting the fact that Kai'Sa can come in. It's been a little bit greedy from Vizor, constantly trying to take these trades. At some point, you have to realize you're not winning out.
This is so extremely clever. This is indeed something that you would expect from a jungle Nocturne to shadow their side laner so they don't die to a much stronger champion such as the Camille. They're playing these so well. They're making sure Kakan has stayed safe. Kakan is making a good name for Karma this game.
Yep.
All
really
bad games have been deleted. He is the Karma player to watch.
If he wins this, it will be only he and Pride who have won on top lane Karma throughout this course of NLC. Tower goes down in the bottom lane. This is where Trick have to pull the trigger on something, right? Because Monk doesn't have Killer Instinct. You know he's just used it. He doesn't have Teleport. He's pushing your tier 1 in the bottom lane. Just you have to pull MNM into a position that you're happy with. He clear out some vision, but the Scryers, the Farsight alteration will just spot this out, and it means they know Trick aren't doing this anymore. Trick now have to back away. Visor can rejoin the team, has his Trinity Force complete right now, but Trick just aren't being... Maybe they're just a little shell-shocked. Maybe they're just a little taken aback by how well MNM have played.
They're looking 100% lost. There was a wave pushing against them down the bot lane. Visor could go catch that, but that would burn his TP if they needed to fight for no reason. They're trying to forcefully push for that Baron fight, or at least try to sneak a Baron. But MNM at this point, they are ahead. They can fight them. You know, the Azir doesn't have as much damage as he should, going for the Seraphs and then the stopwatch. But that stacked Mura mana Trinity Force Corki is going to pump out so much. Same for Monk versus Atu. The carries are more ahead. Monk is not there for Kakan this time.
Yeah, I think Visor knew that Monk was on the top side of the map clearing out vision, so he could be a little bit more aggressive. Tricked will gain priority of the mid lane, come through towards
he's going
the
down now.
river, clear it out. And this is something we've seen Eddie Wood do actually really well, is set up to make sure his team isn't caught out. Like he's had a couple of really good magical journeys. He's positioned really well to try and shadow his team. And you can see Visor having to be that little bit more defensive. He doesn't have the vision you need to aggressively push up past where that tier 1 would usually stand. And Monk on a ward. Oh, see, I was thinking Visor might go for this, but that is super greed, right? You don't know where anyone is apart from the Corki. Yeah,
at least he knows they're going for him at this point. This is why he was very hesitant to take the fight before versus Kakan, because it's like 100% Monk is here as well. I'm going to get assassinated again. Now he's trying to pull the 2v2, but MNM are playing this so patiently. It's insane. I'm getting so excited because that's like, if I take the nameplates off, I would have never guessed that this is MNM. This is the new MNM, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. And I'm also liking the fact that Kakan went back and bought an hourglass for himself. Yeah. He's gained a little bit more of that AP that's going to help his shield and survivability in the fight to keep on pumping them up and by staying alive all the time.
Yeah, the spot side control is so important now. Those extra items so important because we have an Ocean Soul in 25 seconds. MNM, they can just give it up. If they don't find an advantageous position, they can say, okay, it's fine. We'll wait another 5 minutes. We scale well as the game goes on, but I'm sure they will want a bit of a Barney. They'll want a bit of a fight as Kakan is caught out. The rest of MNM not quite here in time, but the Tempered Fate will lock up 3 members of Trick. Monk has a position off towards the side of this fight, but Evan hasn't used the Emperor's Divide. Yeah, he shuffles in, he pushes Monk back, and Monk might die. He's just able to survive. Hit with a final Mystic Shot, and Monk is down. However, 2 kills already going over to MNM. Aesthetic on the front line. The Chew's going to have to dash away. And the problem is you take down one ADC. There's another one shortly to follow as Energy shreds through Trick. 2 players down, ticking health bars. This should be MNM's Ocean.
Oh, and this is going to be so tough for Trick to turn around if the Ocean Soul goes to MNM. Soph is sticking around. He's looking for maybe the steal. They're pulling in the TPs.
Ellie Wood's trying to keep a Chew from getting into this fight. There's 2,000 HP left on that Dragon. The Chew Barrage doesn't do too much. Kakan steps forward on the Ezreal and gets the shutdown. Is Ellie Wood who takes him. Energy's going to go down as well. Stop looking at the flank position. There's another kill for Evan. Aesthetic in the back of the pit trying to do what he can. And here goes Stop. Who got it? It was Aesthetic. The Ocean Soul secured by MNM. They lose the fight, but they got what they wanted out of it. Erin, though, might be able to pick up a Quadra on the back of this. And that could be telling. If Evan can get towards that next damage item, it's not going to be good at all for MNM. PlayStation here flashes forward. He's not letting Ellie Wood out of his sight. Cosmic Binding should be able to get a stun, but only onto 1. Stop still chasing. There's the shutdown. 4 kills in the fight for Erin, and perhaps this is the Baron.
This is honestly so fun to watch. The fact that Ellie Wood was able to make so much time wasted for Tricked. I think Tricked will not be able to get this Baron really quickly. So has to actually go to the red buff first to try and regen some of his HP to go back there. There's 2 TPs coming up in 2 seconds. Energy and Kakan could TP in on this one.
What? Oh, I was going to ask why Chew isn't TPing in as Monk jumps in. The Killer Instinct not quite able to get the kill on Erin because of that stopwatch, but here comes Energy. Erin able to shuffle away. PlayStation. Oh, no, what the flip are you doing? You absolute what? Trick just hard entered. Trick just gave away 2 Barons. Soft should get caught by Kakan here. I'm speechless. That's the worst play I've seen.
Was it a Chew?
No, it might have been a Chew, but someone ordered the blast cone and knocked Soft and Visor back. What? That's just ludicrous.
That was absolute tragedy. The fact that they're able to get out with such a play and then... Oh.
Another fight happening in the mid lanes. Temper Fate comes down. A Chu locked in place. And Trick, you had a good fight. Yes, you lost the Ocean Soul, but you got the Baron. They can keep pushing. They're going to heal so much through this. MNM, how many seconds you got? You got 10 on Visor, 10 on Soft. You should just back away after you get this inhibitor. Reset. You've wasted a minute of the Baron already. Reset right now. You're in such a strong position, but Trick really, like, they had their option to get back into this game, and like a bad quarterback, they just threw it away.
Trick, they're so confused in general, and this MNM are so quick to pull the trigger to punish them. You see Monk, absolute maniac here, pulls his R button into 5 members to try and punish, and Energetica can't pull out their TPs as well. It was Aaron!
Oh my god.
Oh no! Come on, man.
That's an error. That is an error.
He's like, well, at least I've got my buff, losers.
I mean, he did a really good job to escape at the start, but then, oh.
I think it's sort of like the panic that hits you right there, because he was constantly on that 5% HP in the pit, and he was really trying to get the damage done as fast as possible to get out. Now, maybe he just tunnel visioned in getting himself out safe and having that Baron buff. That's the only logical explanation I can give. It was sort of the panic of the time of, yes, okay, I made it out, I'm gone. Right now, though, they had to pay. It's Trick getting the Baron, but they get punished instantly with MNM getting the inhibitor. And there is a ton of wave clear on the side of MNM. They've wasted time on the Baron. They can defend their waves. This is looking really good.
It's looking really good for MNM. The 2,000 gold lead doesn't matter too much. Tempered Fate going in. Monk caught in it with the Killer Instinct. He dived in. PlayStation is still going to pay for this with his life. The Gargoyle Stoneplate will not save him. That was a good engage there from MNM. They were able to find the pick. A little bit of anti-synergy with the Tempered Fate hitting the Killer Instinct, but they should now be able to catch this top lane wave that seems to be building up and take the top tier 2.
So that might look like a little bit of a harmless pick right there. You're like, sure, PlayStation gets caught, but there's no Baron. Elders in 2 minutes. But what that does for the map state is that MNM are going to be able to take every single outer turret and control in Trick's jungle. That means that when these crucial objectives such as Elder or Baron come back up, Trick are going to have to face check, and they don't necessarily have a tanky enough person to do that for them. Because once the Crucial Barrage is used, what other tools do you have to get vision in the pit? PlayStation is going to have to move into Fog of War at one point, and we've seen how fast MNM is to pull the trigger and kill him off.
Oh, it's going to be really interesting for the next few minutes of this game. Like, I'm still reeling from the Ocean Drake secure from Aesthetic, and then the Baron take from Trick, and now we're gonna have more action. There's an Elder Drake up in a minute and a half. You can see Aaron caught out a little bit here. It's gonna pop the Emperor's Divide as Eliwood jumps forward. They don't have any vision control, so they don't know that there's no one there. Right? You look at this, like they've got one control ward next to their blue buff, they've got one in the mid lane, and then they've got nothing else, right? So the rest of MNM could be anywhere, and that's why Trick had to be so defensive there.
And there's 1 minute. This is where you need to start pushing your waves out to try and get some vision for that Elder Dragon. MNM are already winning the fights by default as is, with only 2k gold in the lead. Once they get the Elder Dragon, you won't be able to fight them. And guess what comes after Elder Dragon? It's the Baron. So you're gonna have to fight them at that point, or you just lose the game. Simple as that. Look at all the wards into Trick's jungle. It's gonna be impossible for them to walk in. Aesthetic has the flank.
He's going to get spotted. He's going to get spotted. There's a ward just off towards the top of that. If he went through that wolf pit, he would have been spotted. 20 seconds on the Elder Dragon. Visor's on a ward himself. Has an Oracles. Could use it. Decides against it for the moment. Wants to try and clear out vision. They step forward. Energy takes the True Shot Barrage. The healing comes out from Eliwood with those Caretaker's Shrines. Aesthetic in a really good position.
I'm loving the spot right now. Yeah.
He's in such a good position. Has the flank. Has the flash, has the showstopper. Who will he take in? Eren is at risk because of that Emperor's Divide. A Chu perhaps a slightly easier target energy here. Giving the game away a little bit on his position. Aesthetic spotted out. The Knuckle Down will clear out the ward. The Elder Drake just chipping away at MNM. They're going to start it up. 9,000 HP on it. Soft. We've seen you feel things like this before. Visor has a really strong position. The hook doesn't hit. Aesthetic caught out with a tempered fate, but Monk's already killed PlayStation. Aesthetic on the front lines doing so much work. Visor's dead as well. That's 2 down. Trick now in a 3v5. Aesthetic heals himself back, well, shields himself back up with a Haymaker. 6,000 HP on the Dragon. You're taking the 50-50, MNM. You're taking the 50-50. Are you sure you want to do this? Because Dop can just jump in. He's got the smite. He's got the flash, but they're now diving in. They're now diving forward. Erin, the one to get caught. Stop. Just about able to survive, but the Magical Journey will chase him down, and now the Baron, the Dragon is theirs. MNM with a stellar performance against the second best team in this group. They're looking to pick up their first win in the NLC.
I have to commend them so much on their patience. The way they played this Elder Drake, they're back and forth. They knew they didn't want to take the 50-50, but you know what? They tricked into thinking that they wanted to take the 50-50, and they picked them apart one by one. They get the Elder as well, which means that Trick obviously are not going to go into the Baron to try and fight this. This could be game.
I mean, it feels like it definitely should be game right now. I'm currently just checking my maths to see if there's any way MNM make it into playoffs. There's not. They have a 0-2 record versus Dusty, so even if they tie up the scoreline, they wouldn't be able to make it. But this MNM, like, if they play like this the entire split, they well and truly deserve playoffs. Like, this is a stellar performance from them. Monk is carrying. You have 4 items now on Energy Complete. The Guardian, Angel, and Infinity Edge to top up that Triforce. Their only risk is, you know, Erin is sitting at 4 items himself. You have 3 items as well on a Chew. Like, there is a possibility that Trick can win a fight, but against an Ocean Dragon, it's going to be so difficult.
Ocean Dragon, Elder Dragon, 3 waves pushing in at the same time, a Baron up team, a full item Kai'Sa versus an Ezreal that's really chasing to get that death stance to try and stay alive a little bit further. I mean, Achu is looking like he could potentially be turning the fight around. He manages to stay alive for long enough. I feel like maybe if he gets there to this death stance, I don't necessarily quite think that there is enough time between now that he doesn't have it and MNM wanting to close out the game.
MNM trying to sync up their waves, so they have pressure in 2 lanes at once, but Trick having to answer that mid-wave pressure, just give up all priority in bottom lane. MNM will take the tower and the inhibitor. Monk, whoa, okay, that's a lot of damage. I wasn't expecting that as the Chew has to jump away. Nexus turret was under fire there from the Temper Fate, and look at that, it's just gone. It's like paper just melts before them like a knife through butter. MNM are cutting through the hopes of Trick in their fight for second place in the group. There's only 1 Nexus tower between them and the win, and the Cosmic Binder is going to catch out PlayStation, and he is gonzo. This is all done, but the Nexus falling, and MNM with an incredible performance to pick up their first win in the NLC.
I am honestly speechless. Turn the nameplate on, and I dare any single one of you watching to guess that that was MNM playing right there. To guess that this guy diving in the backline 1v5 was Monk pulling out this place. I am speechless. The patience. I think the title of that game was Patience for MNM. Every single play was so well pre-calculated. It wasn't even calculated at that point. It was pre-calculated. They were pulling Tricked into their own traps, and Tricked were falling for it over and over again. MNM was 1 step ahead all the time. Every single one of them looked stellar. You want the Karma, you want the jungle set, you want energy in the mid lane. Monk, who's been going 0-10 until now, and he's been carrying all this time, that was incredible. And in all honesty, sure, they can't make it into playoffs. You might say they deserve it with this performance, they can't make it, but they can get out of that relegation spot. And in all honesty, if you're building up a roster for even next split, this looks like a really good fundamental understanding of the game.
Really does. Great stuff from MNM, and Barrage will be looking over their shoulders a little bit more worried now about that relegation spot. We're going to take a quick break before we get back with the next game of the day. Don't you go anywhere.
We're nearly in sync, but not in step just yet. When you time that look, you know this can't be second best. It's all in the timing. There's not a right way or a wrong way. It's just a short way or the long way. Get there together in our own way. Good timing is everything. The wrong move when your seconds end will slow us down. Good timing will make or break. The fine line is a choice or is it fate? Don't slow us down. What we do at the start is gonna be there too at the end. Get the pace up, keep the faith up, never breaking the link we've found. It's all in the timing. There won't be a right way or a wrong way. It's just a short way or the long way. Get there together in our own way. Good timing is everything. The wrong move when your seconds end will slow us down. Good timing will make or break. The fine line is a choice or is it fate? Don't slow us down. Sunsets, high rise, you know you're on the floor, diamonds, good light, walking the golden door. Everybody knows that you want it.
Monk will carry. No, Monk has carried. What a win for MNM. They finally get their first win, and that just threw a bit of a dynamite stick into Group B, to be completely fair. It keeps their head above the water for a little bit longer, and it also starts to mess with Tricked. What happened there, guys? Holy moly.
Look, I think realistically, I want to go first up and say congratulations to MNM. It's been a long time coming. They absolutely needed this win to keep their dreams alive of staying in the NLC. And, you know, 7 losses in a row is going to be really hard on the mental. No matter how hard and how many iterations of your roster you've been through, it's going to be very tough to come into a game with the hopes of winning when you've been beaten 7 times in a row. So, huge win for MNM. And I think, admittedly, Dan's analysis from the very beginning was correct. Put a good mid laner, a good solid mid laner in, and actually MNM have got a real fighting chance of actually being a competitive team in this tournament as well.
And I mean, Eren even gave it to Energy for a significant part of the early game. He was applying pressure on the Azir. We saw Energy down on farm, but Energy was happy just scaling up, happy picking up the CS, and ultimately didn't die. He didn't become a big sort of black hole of pressure, and it allowed Aesthetic to pop off. And this guy was an absolute monster that game on the set up so many plays, being that big engage tool. And yes, there were moments where it looked a bit back and forth. Yes, it was sloppy, but this is the second place team in the group who have guaranteed playoffs, and they just smashed them. And I think it's so good to finally say Aesthetic, this split, have a chance to show what he can do.
Exactly that. Like, come on. MNM won a game MNM won a game. Hello, everyone. They won and against second place, as you're saying. It's exactly what we said. There wasn't a lot of possibilities of them winning this. There wasn't a lot of win conditions that we could come up with. But we did say that, yeah, you can count up energy. Monk will finally flourish as an AD carry. And there might be room for aesthetic. And Scoundrel, you said, yeah. But we've been saying that week after week. When is he actually going to do it? He did it today. And no late, like, it was... He come in clutch. Like, they're fighting for staying alive. They're fighting for staying in this league. And Aesthetic just showed how blood hungry they are for actually coming in and getting a win. It was incredible for MNM. It was actually good League of Legends at the same time.
Agree, and I think from the very beginning, that Rift Herald fight set the tone for Aesthetic. Flushes over the wall, straight onto the Nautilus, finds first blood. Aesthetic pulled off so many clutch fights. I distinctly remember, I think it was around the third Drake, where Aesthetic ulted like into the middle of the team and set up Monk and Energy to carry. They still didn't get a clean fight there, but it was Aesthetic driving the team to victory on that set. Monk played his part, didn't have a bad game at all. And I think Energy also, the scaling seems to suit MNM. You know, if they can get through the laning phase, that scaling, those surefire win conditions of a later game Corki and a Kai'Sa seem to come in clutch for them. I'm really, really happy to see MNM finally get on the board in the NLC.
I'm very, very happy for them. That was a much-deserved win as well. You can see the improvement finally came through, and it was what a team to beat as well. It's sad that it had to be this late into the season for them to get it, but MNM, that was a solid win, and there was some pretty solid team fighting. So we're gonna actually let Orcs break down his play of the game there. So Orcs, over to you.
Yeah, this was a little bit of an interesting one. I couldn't have it any other way, and essentially this was a huge play coming out from Aaron. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a counterproductive play. So we see Aaron dash over the wall. We see the follow-up from Weasel and Sop, and the blast cone to knock them back over. Definitely play of the game, but unfortunately for the side of MNM, not great there from Aaron.
I mean, you're just selling them out now too, right? Like, obviously, this could have been a close game, and if they had that Baron on multiple members, this might actually have been another story. Let's be honest, that play of Aaron, it doesn't come down to team play. It doesn't come down to how you play with the macro. It's literally one bouncy boy just destroying Trick's hope of coming back into that game.
I think realistically, MNM was in a commanding position at that point in time. Regardless, you know, I think they were in a great spot. So, irrespective of the blast cone trolling, you know, MNM was still, I think, in command of that game. But what I would say. It definitely didn't help. No, it definitely sealed their fate a little bit more. But what I would say is that this is now really good for MNM, especially pending the result of the barrage game later on, because essentially for MNM to have a chance of avoiding relegations, they have to keep abreast of the barrage sort of scoreline. They have to win when barrage wins. They have to win when barrage loses to really get back into it. So this is really, really important for them to start things off with a win, because if they lost here, I think they were basically confined to relegation. So this is such a huge win for MNM overall.
A really, really big win for them. And we actually do have the man in the mid and the bot lane standing by for an interview. Monk, how do you feel after getting your first win of the season?
It feels good. It came a bit late, you know, so we have no chance to go to playoffs, but I'm still happy that we have a chance to avoid playoffs, relegation, sorry.
I mean, how much work has gone into this? Because you guys, it's been a really, really tough season for you. And, you know, there has been signs of life in this team. There has been signs of life over the last few weeks at the least as well. But you finally get your win. And versus Trit, that wasn't like an easy team to beat. They are second in your group. And sure, obviously, it's maybe a little bit too late for as far as playoffs go. But how much work went in to get to this point?
Honestly, I just had to get back to my level on AD carry at least, because I was I came like, it was like a roller coaster of like it's like my identity switched when I was playing mid lane, and now I got back to how I was as an AD carry, so I feel like very comfortable playing the role again. And sorry.
I was just going to ask, did it take you long to kind of adjust back towards AD carry from mid? Because obviously you played most of the season as a mid laner, then kind of swapping back a little bit later in.
Yeah, like it took like, I mean, it took like 1 or 2 weeks. Yeah. Like, I mean, it wasn't very hard, but like, it wasn't very easy either. Yeah.
Well, I bet it felt great actually to kind of get a game finally where, you know, it's you getting a good performance on and not the one who's kind of being pushed around. How's it been like having Energy joining into the roster? Has it kind of been an easy slot into the team, or was there a bit of teething issues? Because it looks like as soon as he joined, the playstyle just jumped up tenfold for you.
I think it's also Eli as well joining. I think it's both of them. Like we are like I felt like before there was the atmosphere wasn't that good to play, and so now I feel like even if things are going bad, it's the atmosphere is never bad, so we can still like focus on winning the game, you know.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on the win, and good luck for the next few next few games you guys have to play, and we'll be rooting for you to see if you can avoid that relegation spot. Congratulations, mate.
All right, thank you. Bye.
See you later, mate. Man, I'm really happy for them. You can tell, you know, Monk, maybe there was obviously some nerves going through there coming out of that win, and what a win for them to get, really.
I think you could see Monk's mechanics on displays there while he was on the webcam, moving side to side constantly.
Still dodging skill shots after the game.
Yeah, even off the rift. But I mean, I think it's huge for MNM. I think obviously it still leaves them an opportunity to get out of that relegation spot. They play Barrage next week, which is going to be the really big one to try and match the head-to-head and close the gap with them. Obviously, Barrage also play later today, so that's important. But even if they do go down in relegations after this, just getting a win on the board is so huge, especially against a team like Trick. This is clearly a roster who have struggled consistently. It's never fun to be on this roster, never fun to be in this situation. And I just got to give a lot of respect for the fact that they've managed to push through this. The fact that we still have 3 members of that team who have just endured all of this and got to this point. And the fact that, as you said, Eli and Energy were willing to join this roster because it's not an appealing situation to jump into a roster with no wins, and yet they've managed to get one on the board. So huge credit to them, and it's a massive win for the whole of the MNM organization.
Yeah, it's the full redemption arc coming through, and I think also Monk just making that conscientious decision to say, look, it's not working out mid. I need to give this dream up, and maybe not. It doesn't fit the kind of play that I thought I was capable of. And him back in AD carry took him a couple of weeks to get there. And his game wasn't perfect today. Absolutely wasn't perfect, but it was miles better than we've seen him play throughout the split previously. If MNM can somehow avoid relegation, which it still is an uphill battle, it still is a climb to get to that point, it would be a very fitting end, I think, to their sort of turmoil of a split. Obviously, Barrage also not in a great spot too, but yeah, I'm just really happy for MNM. They definitely deserve this. They were obviously working hard for it.
Well, off the back of one Miracle upset, we are looking for another uphill potential upset. Coming up after the break, it's going to be Fnatic Rising versus Dusty. You don't want to miss this one. We'll see you in a second.